From the Foundation Studio right here on Biloxi's Back Bay, I want to welcome you to SuperTalk Outdoors, where we celebrate every single Monday at lunchtime the world-class outdoors of this incredible state of Mississippi, because we are the capital of the outdoors in America. Thank you for joining us on the powerful SuperTalk Mississippi Radio Network, or on SuperTalk TV at C Spire TV. But if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or your favorite podcast, it's January the 30th, 2023. We had such a great weekend in the outdoors this weekend with family and friends. It started actually with a great duck hunt. Saturday morning was literally incredible. I mean, the memories that we took away from that morning hunt, the social aspect of duck hunting and the laughing and the ribbing each other, it's just so much fun. What a great memory. And the scene from our duck blind was literally beautiful. We posted a lot of videos in fact, there's one of the scenes that's literally from the duck blind that Kyle is showing for the Facebook and YouTube audience. It literally looks like a painting. But anyway, we posted a couple of videos from our duck hunt at the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page if you want to go take a look at it. By the way, like our page while you're there. It's incredible. I looked this morning. The engagement on the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook pages is up 56 straight days in a row. 56 straight days in a row. And in social media, you want to see engagement, and people are incredibly engaged. For sure. I posted a photo of my son Jordan catching a mangrove, and I'll check this morning. It's nearly 9,000 views on that, and just posted it not long ago. So people want to see outdoors content. They really do. But it's also, I think this time we had this past weekend, it's just a great opportunity to remind us why we spend time in the outdoors and why family and friends are so important to us when we're in the outdoors, especially kids. Speaking of kids, my son-in-law Keith Williams and my two grandkids, Riley and Brody, joined us at the camp this weekend. Saying Keith and my granddaughter Riley got a really nice 8-point. She's 7. I hunted with Brody. He's 5. We saw a bunch of deer here, but here's something I think that's going to make you chuckle. We were sitting there. We had about a minute to go in our hunt, and I leaned over to Brody and I whispered to him, "You want to go see Daddy and Riley's deer now?" He looked at me dead in the eye and he said, "No." And then he stayed glued to his binoculars, looking out over all these deer that were in front of us. I said, "Really? You don't want to go see Riley's deer?" He said he turns toward me with the binoculars still up, and he said, "No, I don't want to go see Riley's deer." And I said, "Why not, buddy?" And he still got his binoculars, peeled, glued to his eyes. And then he looks at me dead in the eye and he says, "Because, Papa, I want my own deer. Shoot that doe." So I just chuckled. It was a good learning moment for him because he didn't want his sister and his dad to have success and us not have success. He wanted to kind of compete with his sister, which is something they do all the time. But it was a great opportunity for me to explain to him that we didn't need to take a doe. We had plenty of meat, so we let the 4 young bucks and the 8 does in front of us walk. And again, just a great lesson for Brody. But we all went over and had a great family moment together, retrieving the 8-point, and it was just a lot of fun. By the way, that was Riley's first deer experience out there hunting. She, it was a good 8-point. But what I came to see about the situation was that she was just literally a natural in the outdoors. She really loved the experience. And Kyle, if you got that picture of Riley with the 8-point, there's Riley with the 8-point they got, and it's just beautiful. Again, you can see the SuperTalk TV audience can see this in YouTube and Facebook, but you can go watch the show at YouTube or Facebook to see the photos that we're sharing. But there's so much that's been written about the outdoors with family and kids, and it makes you a little philosophical, frankly. The opportunity, the way we connect with the outdoors when we're with family and friends. There's just nothing else like it, to be honest with you. I want to share a couple of quotes that I've collected over time that I think really applies well to what I'm talking about. But here's something from Country Living, and I don't know who said it. It's just who said it is unknown, but it's very powerful. It says this: families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain as one. Isn't that true? Our roots remain as one. But it's especially true for a family that enjoys the outdoors together. And as I say here on Super Talk Outdoors all the time, that a family that enjoys the outdoors together stays together. Here's another one from Nicolette Souter. Here's what she said. No matter how old you get, may you always stop to fill your pockets with smooth stones, empty snail shells, and other little treasures. Isn't that true? It's so true, and I can relate to it. I still do that today. If I find an interesting rock, I'll grab it and put it in my pocket. The other day, my other granddaughter, Mila, Ann was washing her pants, and when she put them in the dryer, I've never heard a racket like that before. And she had literally filled her pockets full of rocks. And there was this pile of rocks just sitting there off to the side. It took Ann quite a while to locate them all, but you know, that's just what it's all about. It just conjures up so many wonderful memories when you think about that. Here's one that I found in Little Pond Learning, and it again, just powerful. Your kids will remember the adventures you went on, not the stuff you bought them. Kids outgrow stuff. They never outgrow adventures. Think about your own experiences and those memories that you have. It's that is for sure. You almost can't talk about this subject that we're on now without reflecting on John Muir, the famous conservationist. And he said this: of all the paths you take in life, make sure a few of them are dirt. Make sure a few of them are dirt. I really love that one, because as I look back, it's the dirt paths that saved me as a child. If I'm honest with you, it's the dirt patches paths that saved me today. And how about you? I bet that's definitely true. And just a couple more. Aaron Kinney said this: children cannot bounce off the walls if we take away the walls. Children cannot bounce off the walls if we take away the walls. Man, we should spend more time taking away the walls for kids so they can find their own adventure. And then my friends from Mossy Oaks posted this: kids don't remember their best day of television. Isn't that true? But you believe me, man, Riley will remember that hunt she did with her father to get that 8-point, her first hunt ever, for the rest of her life. There's just really no doubt about that. And then our friend Ted Nugent posted this: take your kids hunting instead of hunting for your kids. Woo! That one pretty much, I could say the same thing about fishing or hiking or canoeing, boating, you name it. Here in the capital of the outdoors, Mississippi, so many opportunities to engage our kids. That is so true. So anyway, I think this weekend made me a little philosophical as I thought about spending time in the outdoors with family and friends, especially my grandkids. My son Jordan, it was so much fun being with him. Wow. But someone who really appreciates what we're talking about here as it relates to family and kids and making memories is our good friend, sort of almost like the captain at large of Super Talk Outdoors, Captain Sonny Schindler, my friend Sonny. How you doing, Sonny?
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
So I watched you as I shared some of those quotes and memories with the audience and you. But you literally can relate to every single one of those, can't you?
Every one, man. And part of what I do, and it's tough sometimes because, taking people fishing every day, you want to have that great day and that big fish and that trophy fish. But sometimes you got to scale it back a little bit and, let those kids play in the live well or just show them this bird or how something like this works on the boat. You got to start from step one. And the littlest thing on that boat sometimes, just, throwing them a soft plastic and showing them how it works and really, really scaling it down just to lay that foundation. We don't have to catch the fish of a lifetime with those youngsters. It's great. I wish I could do it every time, but showing them where this fin works on the fish or the teeth on a sheephead or something really that we take for granted that most of the time they're never going to forget that stuff.
We're spending time with Captain Sonny Schindler. When we come back, we're going to continue to share some stories about how Sonny and I have engaged kids in the outdoors over time, share a few stories. We got some pictures we're going to show you. What's interesting about the pictures that he sends to us every week is they almost always have kids and families in them. But anyway, when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Captain Sonny Schindler. We'll see you after this break.
Mississippi, there's a magnolia tree. To Mississippi, where a mockingbird sings out on his limb, whistling that sweet soul for him. I said 3 Mississippi to this land called home. I'll breathe Mississippi till I'm dead and gone. Just carry on, I'll carry on, Mississippi.
Leading the conversation on Mississippi's outdoors. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have my friend Captain Sonny Schindler from Sure Thing Charters. He's a regular here on Super Talk Outdoors. We're going to talk about the fishing report out there in coastal Mississippi here in just a second. But we were just chatting and sort of reminiscing about how wonderful it is to take kids in the outdoors. My wife is sort of conditioned to this, and that is when she goes to some of the craft shops, she looks for these like plastic bins. They're about a foot or a foot and a half, about a foot and a half. They're square. They have a handle on top, and they're very flexible. I love those in the boat, incidentally, because you can put cast nets in them, and you can, they're really great for organizing stuff. And so if she finds them, she'll buy 5 or 6 of them. They'll last a couple of years, and we wear them out. One of the things we like to do, Sonny, is that Jordan will often, my son Jordan will cast the net, and he'll get some shrimp and maybe some little mullet and whatever. Sometimes we're fishing with them. Sometimes it's just to put in the plastic bin so the kids can play. But when you bring them out, once you set that in the middle and let the kids, study it and look at the fish, and sometimes, pick them up and hold them or whatever, they'll completely be preoccupied the whole time you're in the boat. That's just what they do. They almost forget about everything else around them. But that's what fishing means to them, is learning what they can pick up and what might stick them, and all these little, magical things about nature and the outdoors. But you've seen that play out hundreds of times, haven't you?
Oh yeah. No, like my boat, I've got a 26 Avenger, and it's got three big live wells in it. And when we get some younger ones that kind of need something to get their attention, I'll do that. We'll throw the net, and you'll get the half a dozen different species, and we'll kind of give them their own live well. We call it the party well, because anything goes in the party well. And we tell them, look, here's your bait net, and you can scoop out what you want, and try and take care of them, because we're going to let them all go. And they love that more than sitting there and catching a 2-3 pound trout. They would rather play in that live well, and I'm fine with that as long as they're outside and getting dirty and safe. Playing that live well all day, I could care less.
Sonny, I love when you tell the stories of you have a family that comes. Let's say they have a couple of small children, and they come year after year after year, and then you watch the kids grow up. Then they get married and they have kids, and now they're coming back again. But this sort of you literally in your business, you're able to watch this generational passing down of the love of the outdoors, and that's what motivates you, isn't it?
It is. I mean, this is year 21 for me. So some of those ones I brought over here that I fished in Venice 21 years ago that have followed me back here. So I'm almost on a third generation if you timed it just right. Unfortunately, we've lost some good ones, but it's cool watching these youngsters grow up and get older and start using those colorful words, and then they get in trouble for swearing on the boat. It's fun. I never get tired of that.
So many memories. Hey, Kyle, if you don't mind, why don't you just start flashing up some photos? And for the radio audience, we'll explain to you what the photos are. But what we find is the photos typically give us an opportunity to kind of spur some memories. But here are looks like a dad and two kids, a young man, pretty tall actually, and his daughter, I guess that is, and they're holding some sheephead. And what's the memory here?
So that's a group from Florida. They were just here vacationing, and I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but it was foggy. So we were very close to the dock that day.
And it was cold. That's what this time of year is all about: is getting extra structure and having a great time catching some great eating sheephead. Yeah,
and that's actually from way down in the marsh. Those big freshwater catfish are in the deep holes right now. So we took that young man's name's Fisher.
Really?
We took him. I think it was his birthday, maybe, or his dad's birthday, and he comes every year. And we played with some redfish and drum and stuff, and stopped for a few minutes. They wanted to hear about. I told them about the big catfish, and that was the biggest one of the day. That was a good one.
That's so much fun. Again, once again, there's always usually a critical link there of kids. Now, is that a tagged redfish that has a tag on it?
That is. I think that one was out for like close to 2 years.
Wow, good.
And that is actually some commercial fishermen from the Northeast that were down here, a family visiting family and friends down here, and they booked a charter, and we had a ball, man. They caught a bunch of fish to eat. They brought it to the restaurant there in downtown Bay St. Louis, the Blind Tiger, and
wow,
that was another good day. Those are the Ballards. They come with me once or twice a year, and we try to do something different. In the summer we go for big fish. In the winter we go for the redfish or the sheephead. And man,
where's it? Okay, so what we see is a family of four that are I guess that's a family of four. It looks like two, maybe a grandkids. Is that what I'm looking at here?
That's 3 generations right there.
3 generations and a pile of redfish. Mm-hmm. Where are they from?
So I think he's from Biloxi. We used to do a bunch of work on the Gulf Council together. We met years ago. James is brilliant. But his kids have been coming for years now. They're fun. I mean, and they take turns helping us bait the hooks and reel in the fish and net the fish and tag the fish. And I mean, it's just, we try to make it fun. At the end of the day, I've been stamping the fish, the Gyotakus. I'm not real good at it, but I'm getting better at it. But the kids really enjoy it. Just something for them to take with them after the trip.
Well, I tell you what, my friend Marty Wilson, the famous marine artist here in coastal Mississippi, when he does his print and then he pulls it up, it looks about like what you and I would see. But boy, when he gets that brush out and start cleaning that thing up, gosh, it's magic, isn't it?
It looks like it'll fall off the canvas when he gets done with it, and flop away. I'm a little ways away from that stage.
Yeah, I got it. I actually got to go back and find. I've told you about that trip before, but Marty was on a trip when we went to the horseshoe lumps and caught 3 yellowfin, 135, 155, and 165, and then a 90-pound amberjack. And we were done by 11 and had to come home. One of those slick days, But Marty was with us, and what I learned about Marty, just like his father, God bless his father who died in the past year or so, at 90 years old. His dad in his 80s was out there spending the night at the horseshoe rigs. I mean, just absolutely, Energizer Bunny. But that Marty's got a very strong back.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
You've seen that many times in your career, hadn't you? Some big boys.
Oh yeah, no, and mine is fading. So I usually find the smartest person and the strongest person, and let them do their thing.
They would say, because I like driving the boat, they say, Captain, you ready to catch one? And I always say, nope. I had my day. You can do it. I love watching you do that. So anyway, any more pictures, Kyle? Was that it on the pictures? I wasn't sure if we had any more. But again, Sonny, this is a great time of year to fish in coastal Mississippi, as we've talked about before. When it's cold outside, that doesn't mean that the fishing's not great. And as you and I discussed last time, hopefully some of that brutal cold's behind us. And now we're getting more of the foggy days where you have some warm water, and the scenario that creates the foggy conditions. But we're headed towards some really good fishing, aren't we?
Hopefully, and hopefully the river will behave this year. But this time of year we don't really sell much. We just sell anything. So if they call and say, how's the fishing? And we just say, look, some days it's puppy drum, some days it's sheephead, some days redfish. Matt went out last week and smoked some trout, and it was, you take whatever you can get this time of year. And if the weather's nice, just take the day, just every fish this time of year is a gift, and just enjoy it. We're going to try and get you as many eaters as we can, but I'm not kidding. There's holes where I'll fish them 3 or 4 days, maybe not consecutively, but 3 or 4 times in a week or two. You'll go one time and it'll be trout in it. You go the next time and it's puppy drum. You go the next time it's sheephead. You go the next time it's redfish. But hey, no complaints.
There's nothing about any of those fish that doesn't create an opportunity for you, for example, to come back to the Pass Christian charter docks, clean those fish, and bring them straight upstairs and get them cooked. Isn't that right, buddy?
They're all delicious, and I'm happy to eat them.
Well, listen, it's been great to visit with you, my friend, and we'll stay in touch and look forward to chatting with you again in the near future.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
You bet. This has been Captain Sonny Schindler. When we come back, we're going to talk with Keith Mills about crappie and freshwater fishing. We'll see you after this.
Just carry on. I'll carry on. Mississippi.
This is Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I really enjoy visiting with Sonny Schindler. Shore Things Charter here in coastal Mississippi have a number of boats, and what makes them kind of special is that they have their boats on trailers, so they're able to launch so they can have access to a wide range of possibilities, and they really listen to each other and talk amongst all the charter boat captains so that they can really maximize the backwater fishing to the best of their ability. And anyway, Sonny's just a really good friend of the show. It's always good to catch up with him. Fishing the coast of Mississippi is a 365 day a year adventure. And you tend to think of it as just a summer deal, but it's not. It's a great opportunity year round to have a good time. In fact, if you think about fishing in Mississippi in general, whether it's saltwater or freshwater, it can be a 365-day adventure all over this great state. And I can't think of a better person to chat about that with than Keith Mills. The last time we talked to him, he was actually the fisheries biologist in Northwest Mississippi, but today he's with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks still, but he's a Northwest Region project leader, and he's all about crappie fishing and management. So how you doing, Keith? Good to talk to you, my friend.
Fine. I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Where are you sitting right now?
In the office.
And where is that located?
It's Ole Miss Field Station.
And where is it at now?
Just outside of Oxford.
Yeah, well, that's neat. That's neat. How long have you been working out of that part of Mississippi?
Since 1986.
Wow, so a good long time, huh?
Yes.
So, when I think of crappie fishing, I tend to think of Grenada Lake and Sardis and Lake Enid. We've got some great crappie fishing in this state, don't we?
Yes.
What makes it so special?
Well, there's kind of a geographical area where it kind of maximizes, and we're kind of the center of the bullseye here in Mississippi. Um, some places it's too far north to grow big crappie because they grow so slowly, and we're kind of in a sweet spot of growth and survival, and they grow fast in most places in our big reservoirs and oxbows. Obviously, they can stun up in a farm pond or something, but for the waters that we usually manage, it's fairly rapid growth.
So we've talked before about catching a 3-pound crappie at some point.
Mm-hmm.
What how long does it take a crappie to get that big?
Well, on flood control reservoirs, which are Arcabutla, Sardis, Enid, and Grenada, they have very, very similar growth rates, and it usually takes between 5 and 7 years for them to reach the 3-pound mark. I have seen them as young as 4, and some of them never make it. In terms of, I've seen 8 and 9-year-old fish that were less than that, but on average, it's 5 to 7 years.
When you compare our crappie fishing with the rest of the U.S., how do we stack up?
Well, Grenada's been number 1 for years. All of our flood control reservoirs and some other state waters are in the top 25 nationally. So, several of them are in the top 10. So it varies year to year based on, what's going on. It's a lot of that rating is based off of tournament catch from, the internet poll and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, listen, I often talk on the show about we're the capital of the outdoors in America. You may find certain aspects like mule deer hunting or moose hunting that's better in other places, but when you add up all the opportunities here in Mississippi, crappie fishing being among them, it adds up to a very long list of dimensions that give us what I believe makes us the capital of the outdoors in America. But the crappie fishing in Mississippi is, like you said, like Grenada Lake, for example, number 1 for many years. It's super special, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is.
So, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. What? Tell us about what does it take to have a great day of catching crappie? What do you need to do to have a great day?
Well, it depends on your perspective. I ran into one lady from, I believe she and her husband were from Missouri, and they had caught one fish all day, but it weighed just shy of 3 pounds, and she was just ecstatic. So for her, that was a great day. Other people are, have different goals and perceptions of what a great day is, but I will say that even in the best lakes, even on the best lakes, on the best days, there's between 20 and 30% of the anglers out there, the crappie anglers out there that go home empty-handed. That's just part of it. Not everybody is as great a crappie angler as they think they are.
Well, that's why they call it fishing.
That's
if
right.
if they caught fish every time, they wouldn't call it fishing. They'd call it catching. But, I've watched a wide variety of crappie videos. I've had a couple of good trips in my lifetime. Usually it's fishing from a boat and fishing straight down and catching them that way. But I've seen some videos recently where guys were like wading along cypress, trees and catching crappie right up next to the trees and maybe, waist deep water. But there's a wide range of opportunities out there for people who want to do it. You can catch them in so many different ways.
Oh, sure. Particularly during the spawn, you may have folks, like you say, wading up in the shallows, targeting spawning fish. You may have folks that are either trolling or jigging in the deeper water for either pre-spawn or post-spawn fish, depending on the time of the season. Because obviously not all crappie spawn at once. It's usually kind of on average, it's about a 6-week parade. Usually the biggest females spawn first, and then the smaller fish come in later. Males of any size may be up shallow. But that's kind of the normal progression, weather, water level fluctuations, things like that can disrupt or change the progression, speed it up. Warm weather speeds it up, cold weather slows it down. That's just kind of normal. Every year is different. Never fails. Every spring is different.
We're talking with Keith Mills, who's the Northwest Region Project Leader. One of the things, if you're thinking about speckled trout here in coastal Mississippi, speckled trout tend to like clear water. So if you're in muddy water, you're not going to find as many of them. But if you find some clear water and the salinity is high, they really are very focused on salinity. Is there a certain, clarity of water that works best for crappie, or does it matter?
Well, it's kind of interesting you brought up spotted sea trout, because that's what I did my master's research on. It happened to be the project I was able to get a hold of. But it varies on the crappie. White crappie are much more tolerant of turbidity than black crappie. Black crappie tend to predominate in lakes that are clear and weedy. If you see your fishing shows and you're looking at some stuff from up north, they have predominantly black crappie because they have that, clear, weedy water. Our water tends to be more turbid. We're in most of Mississippi is in a, either a kind of a coastal plain or delta situation where you get some runoff, particularly in the spring, like we're getting right now, and it makes that water more turbid. But it reduces, the ability of the fish to see a distance underwater. But if you put a lure in front of their nose, they'll still bite.
So it's really about, what you're going to catch more, but when the water's clear, because they can see the jig. That's just kind of the basics there. So where do you get data from? Data's got to be coming to you from all over the place.
Well, usually we have to go out and get it. We do electrofishing, angler creel surveys. I was just helping out last week over on Lake Washington doing some trap netting. We do trap netting on our lakes. So there's various, ways of getting data, whether it's when we're looking at abundance, obviously, numbers per hour or numbers per net night or whatever like that. We're also looking at the size range, the age, size and age structure. That gives us an idea of whether we have a good, healthy, reproducing population of all ages, from little bitty ones on up to great big ones. And, that's kind of what you strive for. Sometimes, you're looking at maybe a year class that's missing due to various environmental factors. Sometimes you find that there's over harvesting occurring, or you got, too few, so many fish being harvested that they're not being replaced fast enough.
Well, listen, when we come back on the other side, we're visiting with Keith Mills. He's Northwest Region Project Leader. He's a fisheries biologist, and he's coming to us from the Oxford area. I want him to remind us where that phrase "arc of slabs" comes from, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we'll talk more about what is in his new world, this new job that he's got these days. We'll see you after this break.
I said 3 Mississippi to this land called home. I'll breathe Mississippi till I'm dead and gone. Just carry on. I'll carry on. Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. We're visiting with Keith Mills. He's a fisheries biologist, but his formal name for the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, or his title, is Northwest Region Project Leader. That phrase "arc of slabs," where did that come from?
Well, that came from a In Fisherman magazine article back in, I believe, 2006. And In Fisherman magazine is primarily a Midwest-oriented magazine. The Lindners and that bunch, Al and Doug Stange and those guys. Dr. Hal Schramm writes for them. That used to be a Mississippi State professor. He writes for them frequently. And of course, that we were already getting folks from the Midwest, but that's kind of we get a lot of them now.
I bet you do. Hey, listen, Keith, we spent a lot of our time at the beginning of the show talking about bringing kids in the outdoors, families spending time in the outdoors together. But I mean, your whole career has been centered around watching families and kids just absolutely eat up with the outdoors, and crappie fishing just part of it. But just in general, you've seen some wonderful stories in your career, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
What is bringing a family in the outdoors mean to you?
Well, it's just to me, it's just a lifestyle. It's part of who you are. Talking about generational. I know guys that when I first started were younger guys in bass clubs, and they transformed into crappie fishermen. I got tired of banging around on the front of the boat for 9 hours a day in a tournament, and they maybe slowed down a little bit, and then they've got their kids and grandkids fishing with them. So we see people that we've seen for years, and their wives and kids, and grandkids, and so it's just like I said, just a lifestyle.
It really is. So as a project manager, how has your job changed?
Well, my job hasn't changed. I'm doing the same thing I've always done. I just got a different title here recently. That's part of our statewide stuff.
This kind of organ. How much time do you spend in the office versus how much time out in the field?
Oh, gosh, too much time in the office always. I never really thought about it. It's probably around 50-50 anymore.
Yeah. So, but the 50% that you're out and about, you really enjoy getting out there still, don't you?
Well, that's how my brain inputs data. I'm observing the whole time I'm out there, whether it's schools a shed or, what's going on with other things. For instance, we work on Tunica Cutoff, which is one of the Mississippi River oxbows. And, in recent years, they've gotten a lot of the Asian carp in them. And those fish have kind of supplanted the shad. And I notice now that there's far fewer of the fish-eating birds, like your ospreys and your pelicans and cormorants and stuff like that. They're on the flood control reservoirs now because they're shad there, but they're nowhere near as abundant on Tunica Cutoff as they used to be. So those are the kind of things that I just kind of notice when I'm working out in the field that give me a clue as to what's going on with the fishery and how much it affects not only the anglers but the whole environment.
We're so lucky to live here. You heard my claim about Mississippi's the capital of the outdoors. Boy, we have a lot of dimensions that gives us at least the opportunity to make that claim, don't we?
Sure.
And crappie fishing is a big part of that. I mean, have you always had this focus on crappie? Has that been? I heard you say that you had the speckled trout was part of a study you did while you were in school. But has crappie sort of been your passion for most of your career?
Well, I grew up on a trout hatchery in North Carolina, just about 200 yards above the state trout hatchery, and my first fish was a brook trout. So, I have morphed as I have moved, and I've got more into bass fishing. And then when I came here to Mississippi and worked on these reservoirs, they're 70-80% crappie fishing, so that's been the focus.
Yeah. Well, Keith Mills from the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, it's been a pleasure visiting with you this morning. Appreciate you taking a few minutes. But always remember, your kids will remember the adventures you went on, not the stuff you bought them. Kids outgrow stuff. They never outgrow adventures. That is sort of a theme of today's show for sure. Hey, listen, while you're in the outdoors finishing up this hunting season, don't drop your guard. Always keep safety first. Always keep safety first. Look out for your fellow man in that process as well. Have a great week. God bless. We'll see you next Monday.